Yes to everything. All right. I like this segment of the podcast because you do all the work and I just watch you squirm. All right. I'm going to ask you some
Oh,
questions that may seem uncomfortable. You might want to say no, but you have to say yes. So it's a critical thinking activity. And first
okay.
up, are you ready? All right. Let me get my.
Hopefully.
Should you be allowed to punish your parents? And let's qualify you. Let's say, should children,
Just
like say,
okay.
children all the way up to the legal adult age of 18. So, including you, should you be allowed to punish your parents?
Okay. Oh God, my mom's gonna kill me after this. Come on.
Well,
All
I'm
right.
forcing
Um, yes, of course. You should definitely be allowed to punish your parents. Well, we're all human. People make mistakes. Sometimes it's the children, sometimes it's the parents. And a lot of times decisions that the parents make, how they want their children to act, actually ends up harming the children and driving them in a way which doesn't lead to very much of a quote unquote successful outcome. So in this case, yes, I think that children as people with, a logical mindset ourselves, as people who can think and as people who has rights, we should be able to be allowed to punish our parents. In fact, I think that we already are, because every consequence is led by a cause. And the way that we are right now might not be satisfactory to them at any standpoint or under their standards. However, that's a punishment because of their wrongful decisions that they implemented on that. So, yes, we should be allowed, and I think we are punishing our parents.
you. We every day we punish our parents. Well, it's funny, do you believe that? Should you be allowed to punish your parents or call them out on their wrong behavior or, is that in order?
I think personally, I would say yes, call them out, but in a sense where people have diverse opinions, like taking the undergo that people have diverse opinions and not criticizing them for their whatever they're
I get you
saying.
want to be fair to them and you don't, but if your parents are the type of parents that always punishing you, should they also experience punishment, because it seems unreasonable, like they're not using their words, they're not being fair, they're just inflicting punishment. Those types of parents, do they deserve the taste of their own medicine?
I think in my justice system, yes, because if you're going to punish other people for, making a mistake, then whatever mistake you do, I think you should receive the exact amount
Well,
of
let me tell
punishment
you
that you
from a
deserve.
parent perspective, parents get a little bit high on their horse a lot sometimes because we're so used to
Yes.
being in charge. We're so used to being correct and we're so used to being the teacher and telling everybody and guiding everybody. So we start to believe the hype. We must be right. We must be correct. And so that every issue, every conflict, we feel like we're correct and right, and everything you do must be wrong. And at
Yes.
times when a kid does chirp up and say, "Hey, you're wrong," you know, from a parent perspective, it actually makes me proud when my kids clap back at me because it
Oh,
makes me feel like they're strong, that they're able to defend themselves, and then it also makes me feel a little bit guilty. And so not that sometimes I feel like if they did put me on a step and gave me a timeout and give me a chance to think about it, that would probably alleviate a little bit of my guilt because parents know when they're off the mark.
yeah.
They parents know very
Yes.
well when they're doing
Yes.
something wrong, and it's relieving when somebody calls you out and you then have a chance to redeem yourself.
Hmm. Honestly, for myself, even though I'm not a parent, I have the same mindset as you do. But a lot of parents, I think that, although they know that they might be not completely correct, they still stand by their opinions and, a lot of parents bring out the status quo of you are my child, you listen to all I say.
Oh,
And yeah, that's what I think is the bad
I
side.
gotta say, okay, round two. Oh, you're gonna like this one. They get
I
progressively a
am
little bit more uncomfortable each time. Round
okay.
Do you hope to never get married? And so you have to
Ah,
make the case for remaining single forever.
okay. Yes, of course. I hope to never get married. Um, on the one side, marriage is such a big responsibility that people have to take these days. After marriage, there are, laws restraining you. There are a lot of like asset deals that you just really don't want to get into. So, me myself, I think that never getting married is just taking loads of chores off of you and responsibilities off of you. And this might sound quite, irresponsible, not, inhumane, but hey, living a free life is not letting anyone else restrict you, is not limiting yourself to barriers, to burdens, to things that you get from a long lasting relationship that might not benefit for the most on you. So I think that never getting married leads to a more freedom, free life, leads to a more free life. And just in general, yes, I hope to never get married.
That's very interesting that you kind of equate being married like with being imprisoned or confined. Do you believe that you can be more free without getting? I guess there's a reason they call it shackled or hooked up because when you're
Mm-hmm.
married, you are sharing your life, and that means it's all about compromise now, and you lose a lot of
Yes.
individual freedom. Do you believe that?
Yes. Yeah, I personally do believe that. I think, marriage is quite a barrier put onto both sides of the house. You know, and there are a lot of like compromising and more of like getting used to each other and accepting each other for the way that they actually are, on a sense that, you're being restricted yourself because of these, you know, boundaries of like finance, of
They say
like
that they
property.
say there's a thing that adults say. They say there's nothing that kills a relationship more than marriage. And so
I
you can be
agree to
so
that.
happy in your engagement, your relationship, it's all wonderful, and then as soon as you get married, everything changes. It's so cliche, but it's so true. That's why it's a cliche.
Yes. Yes.
Everything changes, like not just your circumstance and your status, but just the way your partner then looks at you. So, oh, now we're married. Now I can
Yes.
start taking liberties. Now I can start
Yes.
pointing. I saw this funny thing on Facebook the other day. Said some guy had a picture of himself. Goes, I didn't realize there was a wrong way of eating, speaking, breathing until I got married. So
Yes.
do you see that when you look at married people? Do you kind of feel sorry for them and think how did you end up like that?
Yeah, I kind of do because, well, the truth is when people get married, you see each other as more of a family rather than like completely a lover, right? So I think that, when people cross that border of like we're now closer, you're kind of like a family to me, then we put demands on each other moreover like a relationship.
And in the long run, that's what makes it very fulfilling because that makes you a very special person when somebody has so much confidence in you and history with you. That's what makes that
Yes.
connection so strong and fulfilling. But in the moment, it doesn't always feel fulfilling. That's true.
Yes.
And then
Yes.
I'm sure in the moment, feeling single can be thrilling because you're free and you can explore anything that comes. But also in the long run, being single probably doesn't feel that great either because you don't have that strong bond with a special somebody, you know?
Yes. Yes.
I don't know. Are you planning to never get married, or do you feel in your heart that you will be married one day?
Um, I would love to never get married, but I think that, just by the way my life is going, by the expectations of my parents and everything like that, I think I probably will get married in the long
And
run.
and would you seek your parents' advice or would they what they say have a play a factor in the person that you choose?
Um, Probably not in the most part. They're actually pretty open to this. They're like, oh, as long as you're happy and as long as you wait out the
Yeah, that's what
consequences,
they
then we're
say
fine
until
with
they meet the
everything.
person, then they don't
That's
like
what they
them.
all say.
They
Yes.
say, "Oh, we don't like him, so we don't care about if you're happy anymore." But there's some kind of weird truth to it because in arranged marriages, in cultures that do arranged marriages, those marriages tend to work out. And
Pretty
because
well, yeah.
the parents kind of, people don't realize, but parents see around the corner. They have your best interests at heart. They give you kind of a short list of good candidates. And I think that's what parents don't, they understand that you don't about marriage, is that you don't really, it's not about being struck by lightning and falling in love immediately. If I found the perfect person, it's about finding a suitable person, a compatible person, and then letting the love grow. And
Yes.
you grow to love a person, you get used to them, you get comfortable with them, you earn each other's respect, and ultimately love them. And that's what parents understand. If they can find a suitable candidate, you'll eventually love each other. And that's what young people, they need to love the person right away, and then they
Oh,
find out
yeah.
later that it's not a suitable candidate. All
Yes.
right, all right, let's move on to the next one. And as you know, round three is the tough one.
It's the tough one.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Well, as you know, we just got through Pride Month, the month of June,
Oh,
all over the YouTube and the news. We've been seeing Pride festivals across the world, and I guess gay people around the world are making it known. They're very proud and loud and proud to show and to tell everybody that they're gay. But should people just keep their sexual orientation to themselves, like gay or straight? Should you be broadcasting to the world what my sexual preference is? Or is that something that other people don't need to know? Well, you have to say yes. Let's hear it.
alrighty. Yes, of course. People should keep their sexual orientations to themselves. Because people are different, right? And by Pride Month, by, understanding that there's LGBTQ, we understand that there are different people who have different sexual orientations who are all proud of themselves, who think that their sexual orientation is great. So, maybe other people don't really know about your personal preferences. And in that case, you're kind of bothering the people around you, saying that, okay, yes, mine is the best. I take the best stance in this conversation, which you're not in the long run. There are so many diverse sexual orientations out there, and people can be whatever they want. So I think that it's just unethical to prioritize yourself over other people when we're talking about like freedom, when we're talking about equality and pride of everyone, respecting and being proud of their own sexual orientation. So yes, people should keep their sexual orientations to themselves.
I quite agree. Quite honestly, I
Hmm.
agree. I said I'm not interested in your sexual orientation, anybody, and I don't think that should be the main factor of your identity. And I think it's when people do that, it's almost like when you wear a crucifix, and you pronounce to the world, "I'm in this club over here." And so I carry the
Yes.
authority with all the Christians, and I speak on behalf of God. So then that gives me power where I otherwise didn't have any. So I think when people declare their homosexuality or straightness, they want to tell you, I'm in this club, and I get
Yes.
all the support and power from those people. I don't know. I just feel like it's a cop out. I'm more interested in who you are as a person, and not just what
Yeah.
that preference. Like, what does that matter to me? So I don't know. So how do you
Yes.
feel about actual Pride Month and people with the rainbow color?
Yes. I think that, yeah, firsthand, people are proud of their, identity. That's great. We all love when people, feel confident about themselves. However, on the other hand, just what if, in the long term, there are more like LGBTQ people than they are like homosexual people? Sorry, heterosexual people. Would then this cycle go back again? And then in the long run, heterosexuals will be like, oh, we're pride now. This is our pride month. And then, you know, because it's more of the minority win situation. It's like minorities need to be proud of themselves, and that's why we're having this kind of celebrations
I get
and
it. I
everything
get it.
like
It's
that.
like
Yeah.
BLM, like we had to say Black Lives Matter because that's the group that was being persecuted. And so we had
Yes.
to kind of, advocate on their behalf. And I think that's what Pride Month is all about. It's kind of like saying, don't pick on gay people because we're all together on this. And there's a lot
Mm-hmm.
of people besides gay people that support us as well. And I've always been
Yes.
one of those people. Do you have any gay friends?
I do. I have a lot of them.
A lot of them. Interesting.
Yes.
A lot of it's unusual, I think. Maybe it's changed, but in the past, high school was not the place for gay people to come out because high school is pretty brutal and it's full of ignorant people. But as soon as you get to university, it's like those ignorant people get weeded out, and all of a sudden you're surrounded by nice, thoughtful, smart, intelligent people, and suddenly all the gay people come out of the closet. So in university you get this like surge of gay people, and suddenly you realize, oh, I have lots of gay friends. But you have some
Yes.
in, so is that, has that changed in Canadian
Um,
high school?
I have a lot of friends who are older than me. And most of my LGBTQ friends are from that older community, in the sense that they have already like developed rationality to stick to their, sexual orientation or identity. Because a lot of people in high school, they're like, I might be gay, but I'm not sure. Like I think, I'm having a crush on my same gender. It's more of like that tweaking stage, but in the sense that, people are more open to this kind of stuff is
Yeah,
that that
sure.
that, that is
Especially
happening.
in our country in these times right now. I'm actually very proud of Canada that we're kind of leading the way. I think we've even
Yes.
taken over our Pride Festival is bigger than the one in San Francisco. So I think we're like now the
Oh,
hub of the gay community in the whole world, which I like that
I like
status.
that too. Yes.
But I presume that one or two of your gay friends are Chinese, and I want
Yes.
to know, is it I want to know what it's like for a Chinese person to come out of their closet with their Chinese parents. Because I working with Chinese people, I'm guessing Chinese parents are not very open to this idea. Am I right or wrong?
You are right in the most case. So I have very like two pretty close gay friends, and they're kind of like on each side of the world. So person number one, their parents are like, "Oh, you are not my son anymore. You're out of the house." So now he's living on his own, right? And you know, still enjoying his life. He's like, "I'm glad I came out the closet."
But they kind of excommunicated him. They said you're on your own. So they thought of it as a disgrace or a shame to their family.
Yes,
Okay.
unfortunately, yes. Person number two here, doesn't live with his like parents, he, like lives with his grandparents, and his grandparents are like, oh, whatever makes you happy. That like we're glad that you found your self identity, and that just be whatever you want, and that makes us happy as well. So person number two is kind of enjoying his life as well, just still with his grandparents and everything like that. Um, so
I agree.
both of them are happy right now, so that's good.
Yeah, well, that's what I was gonna say. I think that's the main point. Do it,
Yes.
and I think older people like those grandparents, they get it. You do whatever it takes to make you happy because life is short, and why should you spend your whole life denying yourself? and
Yes.
and and talk about being imprisoned, right? Living to other people's expectations, strangers' judgments. Why should you? And I think it's almost so very liberating to come out of the closet, and maybe that's the reason people do it. So it's not about
Yeah.
declaring that I'm gay. It's just freeing yourself, taking this weight off of yourself, and being true to yourself. And guess what?
Yes.
I would rather hang out with a group of gay people than a group of macho guys. You know what I mean? Because macho guys
Yes.
are not true to themselves. It's so
Hmm.
fake. And gay people, you're gonna get honesty, truth. It's just so much more humble and agreeable. Like I just find I can be more relaxed and open with gay people than straight people sometimes.
To be honest, same. I find that, gay people are very, I would say they're very like into the details of things, and they make you very comfortable within the details of like your interactions.
I
Yeah,
think it's because they
I
spend a
appreciate
lot of
that.
time in like thinking about those in between nuance, and so they think in a different way than straight people, and straight people can get away with almost non-thinking, just so getting into the
Yes.
mainstream and telling you everything that everybody thinks. But gay people have spent their whole life trying to kind of create their own worldview, and that makes them more interesting, and it makes them more secure in themselves and true to themselves. And I like that. I consider
Hmm.
myself true to myself, so I want to be around
That's
other
good.
people who are true to themselves. All right, let's move along.